Now, I have to imagine if you put SpotOn versus Halo into your search bar and you landed on this video, you've probably done at least a little bit of research into these types of products. And if you haven't, well, I'll just start then by putting my discount codes on the screen. And if you have any questions about their specifics, like, say, which one has the bigger collar size that fits your dog, I would recommend just double checking that after the fact. But if you're new here, hi, I'm Kristen, and I've worked with a team of testers here at the Pampered Pup for the last few years, testing every feature to give you the most up-to-date information about these collars as possible. And I'm just going to be breaking down some of the most current, up-to-date features and pieces of real-world information that you need to know that you're not going to find on any of those websites. First off, if you weren't aware of these products over the last few years, here's a quick little history lesson. It was clear that SpotOn was more focused on being the most accurate collar, while Halo was playing catch up in that department. I certainly wouldn't be here recommending that you look into the Halo collar 1 through 3. But now with the improved accuracy of the Halo collar 4, it becomes a much different conversation because they've gotten rid of some of their most finicky aspects. Now, both of these collars hold really solid places as the most accurate collars on the market. While that's always been part of SpotOn's brand, the differences aren't nearly as noticeable as they used to be with earlier models. So there isn't really a one works and one doesn't aspect to these collars that used to be the easy deciding factor. So now we'll be going into the devil's in the details aspects of this decision because while SpotOn does market its technical superiority as the selling point, me and my team of testers have really not found that to be the case with the Halo Collar 4. Okay, let's start with our first myth. The collars are priced in a way that makes it seem like one is doubly better than the other. Now, in my testing, I found that these collars are mostly pretty similar in their overall functionality, so why the difference in the pricing? Well, it may look like Halo is actually the more affordable option, but you have to think in terms of how you would actually use these products. These are meant to be high technology replacements for an actual physical fence at your house. Plus, the added benefit of having a GPS fence collar that can be taken on the go and applied to multiple different fence setups in different places. The real difference between the two in terms of pricing is that the Halo collar requires that you use their monthly subscription, while SpotOn makes that optional at $10 a month. So when you really stop to think about it, these collars will basically cost you about the same amount if you consider the fact that you're likely going to use them for about 3 to 4 years. I genuinely wouldn't recommend getting this for an older dog who isn't that into exploring. So if you plan to use this for that length of time, you're really not looking at a significant price difference. It just kind of looks that way on paper. The next thing you probably notice the more you look around at these two products is that SpotOn gives you the vibe of a highly advanced tech product that gives off the impression that it's the industry leader in the most precision possible, while Halo has a better marketing budget that's centered around Cesar Millan. Now, I didn't actually end up going into the training services that he provides in very much detail, but my impression of them would be that you would be more likely to use them if you're buying a collar around the same time that you're getting your dog. These training tools are not only designed for you to use with your collar for GPS fence purposes, but also just to get your dog used to training from top to bottom. As for which of these training services is actually better, honestly, I'm really not opposed to either one, but I won't say that having Cesar featured makes the training any better than what SpotOn offers with their own services. Basically, with either one, if you've got a well-behaved dog, they'll pick up on the fence capabilities pretty quickly, and you won't really have to think about it again after that. So if the pricing ends up looking similar and the training ends up looking similar, what are some of the key differences that I've noticed? Well, one of the big wins in the column for the Halo collar is in its design. This is both in terms of how the collar fits my dog as well as using the app's interface. So these are just personal preferences, but I personally found the Halo collar to be a lot less bulky and therefore just a little bit easier to stomach the idea of having Kona wearing this collar all the time. You compare that to SpotOn, which feels a little bit more like a perfectly engineered product, and it doesn't necessarily place as much emphasis on comfort and fit as I found with Halo. But here's where I'll put another point in SpotOn's favor. Where SpotOn has always been the industry leader is in its accuracy. Obviously, the number one thing that you're going to be concerned about when you buy one of these collars is that the worst case happens and the collar doesn't work as it's advertised, right? As I've mentioned, I have tested these extensively, and I have not personally experienced any issues with either collar in this regard. But just in terms of thinking about the market for these products over the last few years, it still does feel like SpotOn's consistent focus on accuracy probably is going to be the safest bet for you in the long haul. But again, this is just my opinion from working with each of these over the last few years. Halo feels like the better designed one, while SpotOn feels like it still prioritizes accuracy above everything else. I don't really have an issue with one over the other, but those are really the main factors that I would consider when thinking about which one you actually want to buy. Halo does have that required subscription, but it also has the easier barrier for entry, and it has a better interface and overall design quality to it. But if you want the best engineered product on the market, I would be hard-pressed to argue that SpotOn has fallen short in its latest models. It is still, honestly, the industry leader. If you didn't do it at all in the beginning, I would use the link in the description or the discount code that you see on the screen to make sure, double check that the collar that you're leaning towards has the specifications that you personally would use. Though I will remind you that both of these collars are pretty flexible in terms of what types of dogs they cover. But I also have other reviews that went into a bit more detail in terms of the product specifications that you can watch on screen here. And lastly, if there's something really specific that you want an answer to, please just know that I try to respond to as many comments as possible, as does the whole team that I work with here at the Pampered Pup. So please feel free to leave those questions below.